Hello everyone, good morning to you. It's a pleasure always to sit down and talk with you and go over these issues of health. Remember, the mind is what's made things so complicated. So always keep it simple. You know, some of you have just come to this site and not been through years of supplements and things like this, attempting to get yourselves well. And so there's a tendency to go, oh, look over here, this supplement will do this, because there's so many claims out there. If any of you saw Dr. Oz getting his little butt drilled in Congress, you know, you just can't make these kind of claims when it doesn't happen. If you're getting success and you're seeing this over and over and over again like we are, then you can talk about it. But when you talk about supplements having a curative value, then you're insane, because it's not there. Spent most of my life in this field, and the first part of it was with supplements. And I don't consider herbs supplements. You could, as a supplemental to your diet. The problem is they're foods. Some countries have made the mistake of calling them medicinos or medicines, and that's not appropriate. These are food sources with specific actions. And all foods have specific actions. There isn't any one food that doesn't have a specific action and then some. So it's difficult to understand why different foods, or what different foods are good for different parts of the body. I know there's a couple of books out there that a couple of guys have done real good in trying to determine that. But still, you know, it's just the mind cannot figure out the creation part of this, the consciousness, because it has nothing to do with that. You know, it's just a simple machine in figuratively speaking. Very interesting level of creation that one can live and play in that realm for ages and endless times, because it just appears to be endless in the universal mind area, or in the mind itself. So interesting to learn all the different levels of creation and how it interplays with the physical body and you, the light, the one that turns on the light of all your bodies and stuff. So don't make life complicated, or spirituality. Keep it simple. Hard times, you got a lot of negativity out there. Truth is being exposed, thank God, but it's tough. You know, it's trying to sprout its little head up everywhere. And you always should stand up for truth, no matter what. You know, sometimes you get your butt kicked, but I'll tell you, in the end, it comes back good to you. So don't get too caught up in supplements. And a good example, yesterday I had a lady who'd been on digestive enzymes for 20 years. And now she's in serious trouble with digestion. And this is the problem, you know, and you get yourself to the point where you can't even drink water. And these people they'd have no clue. These people that recommend these things have not been in clinical practice 40-some years, and especially getting people well at the level we have. And so these type of supplements are dangerous in terms of endocrine glands. Vitamins and minerals, you know, they can unbalance body chemistry and stuff, because we have so much thought in chemistry. And if you look at chemistry, you look at oxidation, the movement of electrons, and this whole process of acid-base balance constantly fluctuating between the two, whether you call it oxidation, ionization, whatever you want to call the processes. And when you look at that, you'll find confusion, because when you start to understand base chemistry, which is your calcium and your mag and your sodium and your potassiums, when they interface with acids, lose their electrons, no question, but this is part of the alkalizing or hydrating process. But we have a different take of how we look and see chemistry in play. That's why you almost have to pull back and get a view, as we're speaking, with understanding the body in the fact that it's a bunch of cells, two major fluids. The blood feeds the cells nutrition. It stays predominantly base chemistry, and that the lymph fluids, interstitial fluids, collect waste and carry waste to the kidneys. And this is a lipid-based system, the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system, of course, is your main immune system, and it is 3 to 4 times bigger than your blood. It is also a carrier system, in that it carries fatty acids from the small bowel, where you absorb them into the villi, into the capillaries of the lymph system, and then off to the liver. And so we've got charts we're making for you and show you a little more in detail how this is. But as we've said, there's a lot of confusion in A&P, and you just can't worry about science. You have to look at reality and how it is. You have to look at nature. That's science. You know, our science are based upon our theories and concepts of what we observe, how God made it. You know, because it's already there. Creation's already here, and chemistry's already, you're already swimming in the ocean. You were from the minute you took on a human body in the embryonic stages. Everything was swimming in the ocean, and even before. So just as important to understand the two sides of chemistry and how simple this is. The process can be a bugger bear. The process, no question, of getting yourself well. No matter what condition you have, you focus on the lymphatic system, which includes the kidneys, the skin, of course, the lymph nodes, the fluids. You're going to be very successful. There's not going to be too many things you can't reverse and remember genetically, because this isn't just about cleaning. This is about rebuilding cells and cell consciousness. And you do it, you only have tools of consciousness to do it, states of consciousness, foods, botanicals. There's no question minerals are states of consciousness and everything else, but there's levels. And everybody wants to go down and eat minerals. Minerals, 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 minerals. And then, of course, there's those of us that understand that minerals are used by plants and converted to salts. But even that, you can't use salts. I used Schussler's biochemical salts for years and didn't see a thing change. Maybe some symptoms temporarily going away. Curative value comes into understanding that our high-protein dairy diets throughout the world have literally filled our bodies full of mucus, acids, and broke down our GI tract and urinary tract, kidneys and bladder. So now we're having trouble with those two systems, and because of that, now all the systems are falling. So it's a big deal, but it's simplistic. Don't buy into these supplements and take all these digestive enzymes, because you'll wake up one day, and I've been preaching this for years, you take them, your body quits making them, and that is in any endocrine gland function there is, whether it's pituitary hormones, thyroid, parathyroid hormones, the steroids and the adrenals, the neurotransmitters. Look at all the meat eating. And of course, all the meat eating, of course, meat is full of epinephrine, norepinephrine, full of neurotransmitters, particularly the epinephrines or the adrenalins, because of obvious kill. And so we're used to being pumped up with neurotransmitters on meats. So the first thing you notice when you stop eating dead animals is that you get tired, you get fatigued, because your nervous system's going to go down a little bit. You've been supplying neurotransmitters to yourself and not realizing that. And it's the same thing with taking steroids. No different than taking cortisol or something from a medical doctor. You'll ruin your adrenal glands. You just can't go down that avenue, even though it seems to treat a symptom early. And there's one question here. I was just kind of reading through it real quick, and it has to do with a testosterone. Some young lad was taking testosterone early on. You notice how, and this is the problem with treatment-based thinking, and we have to pull ourselves out of this, because just in a simple example, testosterone, it's acidic like estrogen and aldosterone. These are your steroids that are gonadal steroids. But they can have an impact if you're highly acidic. Being acidic, although they're not as acidic as your cellular acids, they still can exacerbate or increase acidosis. So you see those that have low PSAs, but they have kidney function problems, they're not filtering, they have low testosterone. Because had they had higher testosterone, you're going to see prostatitis in almost everyone, every male that has kidney function problems. Because if you don't filter your lymph, it doesn't get filtered in the prostate, it doesn't get filtered in the bowel wall, it doesn't get filtered in the lung wall, it doesn't get filtered in the liver wall, it doesn't get filtered in the pancreatic wall, the testicle wall, it doesn't get filtered in the toes, it doesn't get filtered in the head, everywhere. And that's why you see multiple problems, generally side to side, because there's a kidney on each side, remember? So these are big deals. And getting yourself well, we only have so many tools. The thing that we don't know is how to get kidneys filtering faster. I've said this before, a lot of you are probably going to discover more tools and things as we go along here to get kidneys filtering faster, because some of you have been a year and still not getting filtration. Others are getting it within days. So it's strange to me how it takes so long. given genetics and given the high acidosis of people and the body full of mucus, takes a while to get in and to restore the body into a state of health. And that's why cleansing and strengthening, those are the only two words that apply to Wellville. Cleaning and strengthening, just like you would do anything like that, your car motor or your house or anything. You strengthen and make whole again. You make healthy again. And as simple as returning back to the type of diets that man is designed to eat. And I am on a frugivore side, and so are a lot of people. And for you guys that are working with this, you'll find that once you live on these high level of good fruits, ripe fruits, all right, you start trying to go back to the vegetable matter, and you start to realize, wow, that stuff is coarse. That stuff is hard to digest. That stuff is energy robbing when you're used to having fruit energy. Not to say there's nothing bad about it, but when you're trying to get well, sometimes you have to leave that vegetable matter off, or you have to juice it to get rid of the pulp, and now you have pure extracted juice. And that is so much easier to digest. Still more dense, but and so it does still take a little more digestion, but, you know, it's still okay. You know, it's funny how bad we are in our health issues as humans. All you have to do is start eating the diet your body's designed to get well, and it starts getting well. However, the genetic toll on a lot of people, you know, you just got a lot of. I, for one, woke up to some serious genetic weaknesses in my life. And I was so disappointed because once I learned iridology and then I found a man with a camera, I was so excited until I saw my eyes. I'm going, oh no. And so I went back to my military ID, and it said I had hazel eyes and I had blue. So I know during my fruitarian years I really got in and got some work done, but I didn't even have the herbs back then, you know. So it's interesting. It's a ride and a half, but it's so intertwined with your spirituality and who you are. Because when you start losing energy, whether it's to acids or whether it's just to the types of food you're eating, it sucks your energy down. And energy is consciousness, so it pulls you down. You notice, you guys that are on the fruits and you're really kicking it, you're awakening. A lot of you are having out-of-body travels. You're lucid dreaming. That's what it's all about. That's when things start getting fun. Not fun on this planet anymore. It's too inert. People's consciousness are inert. So, you know, the fun time comes when you realize how much freedom you have. This is why the United States always had everybody looked at that because of the Constitution. And yet you have these negative souls that are channeling the negative forces that want to get rid of it, which is interesting because no country survives well in socialism. It survives well when you follow the principles of God, which is individuality, freedom, things like that, which is the Constitution of the United States of America. And we just have so many souls that don't understand what happens when you lose that and the wars that have been fought to try to gain that. So I find it interesting how strong the negative forces are right now. And people are being channels for these, even though they might be good people, they're being channels for these. I mean, look at the IRS guy. This guy is a reptilian for sure. You can see his eyes twinkle and move. There's interesting stuff out there. Just bad narcissism and things like this. People think they can rule others, and it's a mess, no question. But the more you guys channel the light and love and work in the now and get healthy, the more that energy comes and invades this planet. You guys do realize that you're being channels for this. And as you open this up, you're bringing the higher consciousness of God right through you and right into this world. And that makes the difference of everything. And that's why you all are so precious and all so needed at this time, at this level, to help. And make fun of it, that, you know. Okay, so I want to get to questions now. Hopefully, tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it Friday, but tomorrow I'm going to try to come in and Drew and I will go over your eye pictures. I know someone sent me one in, and so I want to do that tomorrow because we got a lot of them here, and I think this is the last time we're going to do them because you got enough information on these videos about that to analyze your own eye. And it's simple. You want to keep it simple, and but it's one of the best looks that you have inside your body. When you're used to using the eyes for so many years, you feel naked without them. When I look at someone that's new coming in here and I don't have a picture of eyes, I can't see their body. Yeah, their symptoms tell me everything, but the level of problems that one has. Symptomology is what you should go on to determine the weaknesses, because every time you have a symptom in an area, you know immediately what it is. And then once you learn a few things about the endocrine glands, which we put out there, it's in our books, once you learn a few things like that, then everything becomes more simple. When you don't producing a steroid or a hormone, you see a symptom from that. Now, sometimes you don't recognize a symptom from these things. You can have low mineral corticosteroids and not be absorbing zinc and selenium and some of the minerals, or magnesium, and you're not utilizing them, so therefore we tout deficiency there before we even understand utilization. But still, we might see some symptoms there. Overall, you can understand that once you fix your 4 processes, your digestion, your absorption, your utilization, which is the endocrine glands, and then your elimination of the byproducts of all these processes, health and vitality and dynamicness, to the point where it's shocking. It's shocking how a high alkaline body has no pain. Even if you have problems in it, you won't feel the pain. You can cut yourself and no pain. Eric spoke a lot of this. I experienced that directly as a fruitarian. I've always been struggling back there. I'm probably 50-50. 50 fruits and 50% vegetables, and maybe a little more, maybe 60% fruit, but I would love to be all fruit. Just frustrating, because it's just the quality isn't there. I struggle to get a watermelon. I struggle to get a friggin' watermelon in watermelon season. So it's tough here. There's no question about it. Some of you guys that have access to good food, I hope you really appreciate that, because most of us are struggling to get good food, even though we know the food that fixes us. And it's funny, I've fixed so many people through the years on crap food. Can you imagine those that are blessed to live in Costa Rica and in Asian countries where you have so many fresh fruit? Oh my God, Yaz, you example. Let's see. Hello. I would like to know if there is somewhere, and for the moment I didn't find anything nowhere on effort about how the fructose doesn't need insulin to join the cells. Please, could you please tell me about the books or articles? That's a good question. I read this in a medical dictionary, and I can't remember where that was. But I found it in a medical dictionary, and I thought, interesting. And then I couldn't even tell you the books I've read. Now, I have books on fruitarianism here. They're rare, and they're available. So you might want to contact the office and see what books we have on fruitarianism and see if that's in that area. Because back in the earlier 1900s, you had a lot of medical doctors and chemists that were really looking at this whole thing of fruitarian and health and detoxification and things like that. Like Tilden, a lot of medical doctors were doing that. Even Harvey Kellogg, remember that? A step. Did a good movie on that one time, with Anthony Hopkins playing Harvey Kellogg. I thought it was funny. Yogurt enemas, interesting, yuck. But, the process of growth has happened. But you can see that. You don't have to read it in a book. You can see it on your clients. You can take a type 1, mostly. You have your brittles and you have all this, so take that in consideration, and also consider that there are some adrenal issues with type 1s that can also affect sugar metabolism. With that said, most of the type 1s, you put all on fruit, their blood sugar is going to stabilize, and you're not going to see any lack of carbon or oxygen to cells. You're not going to see the influx of sugar. Put them on vegetables, and boom, there goes their sugar. It just shows you the insulin need of glucose and the refinedness of a simple sugar like insulin, like fructose. So it's just what I observe, and we've observed it over and over, and I have other practitioners have done this and observed that as well. So we've talked a lot, me and other practitioners, about this. So it's enough to say that's how I feel about that one. This concept that fructose has to go to the liver, some medical journals show that the fructose has to go to the liver and be converted to glucose. That's idiocy. You can't convert. Fructose is already a simple sugar. There's no need to convert it to another simple sugar, an inferior simple sugar, I might add, for the Homo sapien. So you have to understand the species and everything else, in my opinion. But this is what I observe, and so I stick with that. And my husband has been type 1 for 2 years. He is 30 years old, and he's 30 years or so at 28. Wow. Well. And I'm fighting with his, I think you want endocrinologist or endocrinologue, who told him to, I think it's endocrinologist, to heat 50% glucide. We are French and am a mathematician, oh cool, who want to study good luck, endocrinology. You know, I have a guy that came up to me I spoke for the Diabetic Association down in Miami one time. And this endocrinologist came up to me, red in the face, yelling at me, "You Dr. Morris?" I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "I heard you're telling people you could cure type 1. And I didn't know who he was at the time. I said, "No, I tell people they can, because it isn't me, it's you that cure yourself and kill yourself." And he said, "I'm an osteopathic endocrinologist, and I've been to school for 15 years. And he said that about 4 times, you know, and I'm going, oh, Jesus. So I said, okay, 15 years of studying endocrinology, that's pretty cool. So I said, what causes diabetes? He said, it's an autoimmune condition. I said, you went to school for 15 years to buy into that? Can you cure diabetes? He said, there's no cure for it. I'm going, Jesus Christ. And here's a man that took 15 years of his life, went to school, and he can't even cure things. You know, if you live in the world where you can't, if you think you can't cure anything, and these are diseases that ravage the body, you're just going to have a horrible life. You're going to live with that kind of consciousness. And I'm here to say, you don't live with nothing. Life has decay and rebuilding to it. Life is dualistic. If you want to live in medical thinking where there's no cure, but there is no curative value of treating symptoms with toxic chemicals, where would you ever assume there's some curative value to that kind of thinking? See, we have been numb in our consciousness and allowed these power freaks of Rockefeller, for sure. He's the big power hog of the AMA. Of course, I think his son, the American Cancer Society. These are just money-freaking people. If you understand who Rockefellers are, and the trilaterals and the world bankers, and you understand why they have the mission and what they've been doing with legislators. Legislators just bought into this. You know, all these politicians, they have no consciousness much. You know, thanks for the new guys that are over here in this country that are Tea Party, but then we're mostly IRS fighters. We understood that they've been misapplying the tax laws, and now they're in trouble in this country. When that truth gets out, hopefully a lot of people will go to jail with this, and judges included. Judges have been biased and allowing the Department of Justice here and the IRS to get away with criminal activity for way too long. You know, this United States is in trouble. You might not think that from other countries. We're in major trouble with our government. Major. That's planning to take over. They've been trying to take private citizens and make them federal citizens. They've been doing all kinds of things to gain power. And that's the negative forces, gaining power over everybody. And that's pure negative. And of course, there's some invasions going on that a lot of you don't understand yet. So being a mathematician, okay, but if you get too mental about it like a mathematician, you're going to waste years. Because this guy had 15 years. He didn't understand the adrenal connection to type 1 or 2. He didn't understand, understanding type 1, of course. He had no clue about it, neurological type 1s, and all this study, and yet universities have been looking at these things. So it's enough to say that type 1 can be a neurological type 1, meaning the autonomic system to the beta cells is down, therefore making production of insulin down. Remember that this was a university in Canada that discovered that. And remember, I told you a case that had 4 surgeries, and after the 4th surgery, she went into type 1 and lost her menstruation. Why? Propofol, neurotoxins in anesthesia, shuts down your nervous system. You shut down your nervous system, which controls the activity of things, then you don't have activity of things. Now you also have to go back, even with type 1, in my opinion, you got to go back to the adrenal glands, because there's also the neural connection to the beta cells from the adrenals, neurotransmitters. But sugar metabolism, which is type 2, and hypo, which is called hyperglycemia, which flip side hypo is all sugar metabolism problems. There, it doesn't matter what sugar you consume, you're going to have trouble with it. It can be simple fruit sugar, it can be simple vegetable sugar, glucose, it can be galactose, which you don't want, milk sugars, but any simple sugar will also be problematic because you have sugar metabolism problems. That's a steroid problem. So fixing the glands are key to this. Making healthy the tissues in the body is the only road to well-being. You can't treat these things. I've seen beta cell transplants, islands of Langerhans, the beta cell transplant. Not a difference. You gotta fix the whole endocrine gland system, and what brings it down? The lymphatic system, not the blood. There's only 2 major fluid systems, and other than that, you've got a healthy cell. Remember the French physicist that kept part of a chicken's heart alive for 20 years. Remember that. How can you keep cells alive detached from a whole being, and how can you keep them alive for 20 years? And they realized 2 aspects were essential to do that: the feeding and the cleaning, always. And when you look at that, it's everywhere, and those 2 aspects are vital. Fresh squeezed navel orange juice. All right. I don't know how much I would study. I'd study my glands for sure, understand what hormones they produce. Ask yourselves, when you understand the hormones or steroids, what they're for and what happens if they're not being produced adequately. What symptoms are you going to see? When you look at things like that, it'll help you out. There's enough. But if you get deep into endocrinology, sorry, people that have 10 years even of study, endocrinologists can't cure nothing. So don't fall too low into that where you're taking your life and you're studying something that'll go nowhere for you. That's just a heads up on that. You can do whatever you want. To have diplomas to be authorized to claim that we don't need glucose, but fruits. You know what? Unfortunately, some of these countries might have that kind of mindset that you have to have some type of degree. That's why I find all of you vital to this, to show, to demonstrate what happens to the human body in a high fruit, high alkalized body. The level of health and vitality, all the symptoms. I mean, look at the people on Facebook. How many of you guys have turned yourselves around and helped others? And it's just demonstrating that, because we have to demonstrate that it isn't the intellectual mind. We have to actually demonstrate that the mind is man's problem. Now, this is going to be interesting for academics because they're steeped in that. But there's nothing wrong with that if you have balance, if you learn how to use the mind but also use consciousness, because without consciousness, the mind will take you on rides of theories and concepts and idealisms that exist out there, but it doesn't take you any closer to well-being. So you have to pull yourself back sometimes from the conditioned mind and look, because you will see if you don't use the mind. The mind can't see. The mind only analyzes, compares, rational. It's totally a machine that does that. Etheric in its nature and huge in its scope. But consciousness is awareness. It already has all life within it. So it's part of the whole that created the parts. So it can see and understand so much more than the mind. You would be better to spend the 10 years going to school in meditation. Because you would be a God traveler in 10 years. Are you kidding me? For the moment, I have to learn more and prove as I know how to, because more than any other people, I know what logics are, and yes, there are more logics than one. I know Aristotle, absolutely. You had your philosophers of old, and everybody has an opinion because everybody sees from different levels. That's why it's important to pull into the now, because the now doesn't have the mind. You know, infusing in the now, being in the now, getting away from thought processes and just being in the observation, which is consciousness. It is all and complete. Whenever you read the Bible and you read spiritual works, you always, and you know, Hinduism, you'll always find that in the literature somewhere you'll find the allness, the completeness, the wholeness of the one. That means there's nothing else out there, and that this is illusionary concepts of duality produced for its own enjoyment, basically. If you're the only thing exists, you're going to create a dance, an eternal dance of creation where you can play endlessly within yourself, because there's nothing else, and there's no one else but just you. There's no mommy God, daddy God out there. Yeah, oh, this is a good one. No testosterone production, no sleep. I have started your program, Herbs, Glandulars, Tinctures, and watch videos constantly. Thank you so much for that. You know, take those and use it to your benefit, because that's the only reason we do them. I only do this to help you guys get well and to grow spiritually. My goal is more the God conscious side, but health is important too while you're on this rock. Thank you for all the free loving. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for listening. This is Randy. Hey, Randy. I love, and by the way, Chris, thanks for the phone call. Love you, man. I loved bodybuilding as a young boy, 9. Wow. And got horrible advice from people in that realm to take testosterone at age 15. Holy crap. Oh, I know you were probably shouting, holy crap. Yeah, I saw that, and I pretty much did, you know, because I thought, my God, bad advice can hurt someone, you know, for years and years and years. My doctor says that I have not produced testosterone for years and has had me on 1 cc a week to keep me normal. Yeah, you know what, you're going to really have to get into, and there are gonadal glandulars, you know, so you might want to get some gonadal glandulars and help with the testicles, because that's part of the production, and get the prostate. But you're going to go to the kidneys and adrenals always, and of course the adrenals is the final testosterone, so you really want to, you know, get that those adrenals healthy. And that's all you can do is work with that. You can work with the glandulars for the adrenals and the herbs for the adrenals. At the same time, you know, just keep making everything healthy, turning everything on with the fruits, because this is consciousness, this is energy at the highest form in food source. So this is a turn on to the cells. It wakes them up. You know, it plugs them into the wall socket. Oh, wow. Oh, look, there's life. There's consciousness. Exactly. And you're moving out that which hurts them, breaks them down, the acid side of chemistry. Even the name is negative. Acids. Absolutely. The same doctor, to show the craziness, told me to get on meat again when I tried the raw vegetable fruit diet a year ago. And recently, when my blood work all showed a downhill slide, told me, okay, your vegetable diet again. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't fall to the protein side of this. These guys don't have a clue. And I can, for the life of me, figure out why medical thinking is a protein thinking. It's all such a negative thinking, and the protein is a negative thought. We're so raised with the need of protein. When it isn't protein, it's essential issue. It's amino acids. But that's not the essential issue. Carbon is. You know, your carbohydrate is a central food source for almost every species. Even the carnivore, remember, goes to the gut of the antelopes and deers and everything to get that pre-digested grass. Why? Their GI tract has very little absorption and very short. So you've got to be able to, the food you eat has to already be able to break down fast. So they have high acid, break down the meat and bones, but you have pre-digested vegetable matter that has to give them the carbon and things as well. And even at that, most carnivores sleep 20 hours a day, some 22 hours a day. That gives you 2 to 4 hours to get up, kiss the mama, pat the babies, and go kill you something. Or well, I guess the woman's going to kill you something. Same thing with them. So this is the problem, you see. So when you look at species, you see the difference. I am 50, have gone down to a month now and no shot and feel pretty good. Can I, do you think, stop now? You know what? I would stop as soon as you can. Even if you had a little symptomology kick, who cares? Because you have to allow. And this is another thing for the type 1. Here's another problem that type 1 faces. And even though this person's only been on it for 2 years, I would do my level best to take care of this, because Insulin is a hormone, and the more you're on insulin, remember, the pancreas is an endocrine exocrine gland. So, same thing. If you take insulin, your beta cells will stop producing it. So, like Marcy's been on insulin for 20 to 30 years, so she's struggling. She's getting herself down and pretty good, but she's struggling because the beta cells have to get turned on again. And at the same time, you've got a catch-22 going on because you're trying to now, because you've weakened that so much, now you're using chemical insulin, now you're seeing things all over the place. And I'll tell you, it can be a mess. And it's just that it doesn't matter. You have to take the time to work yourself out of it. And you have to, I would work with, a glandular for the pancreas, but I would get in there, get into my pancreatic herbs. I would also get into my adrenal and kidneys, move the lymph. I mean, why do you lose things in the first place? And it goes back to the lymphatic system always. So just keep remembering that's the system you always want to work on, because in doing that, the blood will clean itself like beautiful, and the lymph system is the one. That's the one that brings everybody down. That's the one that causes everybody pain. That's the one that swells up everything. That's the one. So, in my opinion, for me, I would definitely stop because as soon as I can, because I want off of this and I want to rebuild. I want to rebuild my gonads. I want to rebuild my prostate, my adrenals and kidneys. I want to work on all this because this shows that probably back then you had genetics in that whole area there. A major issue that I have a hard time sleeping. Okay, so we're going back to pineal gland. Go back to that pineal gland. You get a pineal glandular, but that suggests that your lymph system's back to all the way in the head again. Get a picture of your eyes and take a look at your body and see what you're up against. And then you know right there what you're up against for yourself. Because everybody's different in that. Some people are just full of mucus in the head. So down goes the pituitary, down goes the pineal gland. The thyroid gets full of mucus, and then you get polyps in it. And then some people get goiters from it. You just start seeing this lymphatic expression of swelling and tumors and inflammation or acidosis. So that's always the system to work on no matter what. And how hard it is, you know what? It is hard. You're talking about miles of interstitial realms around all the cells head to toe. And it's just going to take you a while to hydrate and get this moving. And don't freak out. Just make life better for yourself. Because it's hard to go back to total trash. Some people do. I've seen people do that. But, try not to if you can. Try to maintain a balance. Which I know from the great teaching. Oh, it's the pineal gland. Oh, you guys are good. Adrenals, acidosis, and back. Oh, you guys are good. I have been on a CPAP machine for over. Wow, you're loaded. You're really backed up. So, getting yourself alkalized and getting the sinuses drained and everything, that's key to you right there. The crazy thing is still, I cannot sleep without taking 3 Benadryl. Wow, Benadryl. Holy crap, every night, and then I only sleep 4 to 5 hours. Yeah, I would do definitely do a glandular. I would do probably, for me, I'd probably do 1 or 2, maybe 1 to 2 hours before sleep. I keep buying herbal sleep formulas, but I don't know about that. I got melatonin. No, because you're going to do the same thing to the pineal gland. Melatonin is what the pineal gland produces. Taking it, you'll weaken your pineal gland again. See, that's where symptom treating is idiocy. I mean, there's times where you got to, don't get me wrong. If you have seizures or spasm, you got to use antispasmodics. If you have internal bleeding, it's good to use bleeding formulas, like homeostatic formulas that stop internal bleeding. That's the cool part of botanicals. You can use them to control gnarly symptoms. But your focus is going to be to address causative factors, which is what you've done to your body through lifestyle, your mother through lifestyle, and just keep on going back. Islanders are in a different story a little bit. But they've had junk food for quite a while, too. Was taking 10 to 15 milligrams, but kept having to take more and more to get the same effect. See what I'm saying? And when you do that, you're weakening your gland. You know you're weakening your gland. And that's what you see always on hormone and steroid use, is that you end up taking more and more and more because the gland keeps going down and down and down. You're doing nothing to tell those cells that you're going to make them healthy. What you're doing is saying, oh, you don't have to do anything. I'm supplying your work for you. Well, the problem with that, like glands have multiple hormones that they produce. You know, when you look at the thyroid alone, no one thinks of calcitonin, but calcitonin is another hormone out of the thyroid that works for the parathormone out of the parathyroid. So you have things that are not like in endocrinology. So if you go out and spend your life studying it, the problem with that is you can read some books, doesn't take you long. Self-education is always best in my opinion, except for learning how to pronounce things, because you learn more. People that are self-taught learn so much more than people that go to school. I can tell you that. If I'm hiring someone, I want someone self-taught, because if they have the ambition, they're going to tear it up. They're going to learn everything and the connecting links and whys. When you're in class, you just have to listen to the professor, go through chapter after chapter, pass your test, and go into something else. And while you're doing that, you're not computing. It's not showing you the whole of things, and therefore you're learning pieces. Putting pieces together isn't done medically well. So you have all these pieces sticking out there and very few connecting links. So every symptom is different. Every symptom's a disease. They don't connect things. Spiritual people connect things because they're working from the whole. Holistic. Holistic is a lot more than just eating whole foods. It's seeing life holistically. It's seeing from consciousness, from being a spiritual being. Holistic is using whole, not using supplements. Supplements are not holistic thinking. Herbs are, because they're holistic. They're whole in themselves. You're taking the whole plant or part of the plant. In chemistry, when you're using supplements, you're isolating the chemistry out of these factors and then potentizing them or putting together in whatever a biochemist think is good for you. And in the absorption of things, the malabsorption of things today, we're seeing high potencies in supplements that might not need to be. Gerson got their butts a little kicked with the FDA with 100,000 units of A and beta carotene. You have to be careful with things. And the oils, you're not trying to pound the human body. You're trying to simply clean it and repair it. And you can simply do that with the chemistry that it's designed to use. It's not difficult to understand that. People take off on paleo diets and things like that, and it's like, please. You can go back in time and see what aberrated man did that led us to where we are, or you can have a refreshing view of where we should be eating because of our design and change our lives, and for the better. But it's hard to do it. People want to go back, always go back. Well, go back and realize man was a tropical species, and then start from there then. I put on my pillow, but it did not work. I appreciate your time. Anytime, Randy. Take off with that. Keep working with that, because you'll work yourself back to the production of testosterone again. You just have to wake up the dead, so to speak. You got to go back and fix genetics. You got to go back and fix these things. And the sad thing about testosterone creams are promoted everywhere. I even have clients, the older clients that want to get their little winkies up better. they go out there and they take it, and it's like, no, because then little winky won't get up at all in the future. You just can't do some certain things. And there's plenty of hot herbs for men. The thing is, and that brings me to the point, you don't want to take Uhambi and some of the other herbs that are hot for males until you don't have any prostatitis. Clean that out first, and then go for using Uhambi and some of these other strong male herbs, ginsengs, Panax types, stuff like that. This is David. I am a 22-year-old male and have an interstitial cystitis. Look at how much interstitial cystitis. You used to never hear of the word. But, what's interesting is that the very word tells you what's going on. You have inflammation interstitially, meaning around the cells. Well, what in the world is interstitial fluid, and what is its purpose? And so that takes you right to the elimination or the removal of cellular waste into the lymphatic system, the lymph nodes, and to the kidneys. So your bladder itself is having a hard time filtering itself through the lymph system. And that's a problem, because you'll chew up your bladder that way. These are acid. That's why you're feeling the itis from that. The inflammation from that is an acid experience. And the problem is, look at your creatinine and take a look at the kidneys sitting up above and the adrenals up above those, because that whole matrix you got to fix. You got to get your kidneys filtering, and it'll real help the bladder to filter, because there's this whole filtration system of bladder and kidneys itself. I would say that, acids are tough. Acid fruits are even, can cause some things, but you have to have some astringents. I would say this: the stomach tea is real soothing, like a steroid. It's real soothing and coating to the bladder. At the same time, you want to use some kidney formulas and some lymphatic formulas, because you've got to get some astringent action in interstitially. You've got to get some chemistry into the body there. I'd clean out my bowels too. You want to clean your eliminative organs, your GI tract and your urinary tract. These are key factors. By working at the ass end first, basically, you're going to fix everything else, because it's like pulling a plug out of a big vase full of water, and you're pulling a plug at the bottom and everything starts draining. And in this process is hydration. So you just have to work at that end of that. Since this person was 18 to 22, so 4 years, you've got acids burning in that burning those cells. So there's a time where you've got to fix this, and this is the only way I know. And so over the past year, I have cut out meat and dairy. And the sad thing is, the medical doctor should have told him from the beginning to cut out meat, because that just exacerbates everything. And dairy, oh my God, both of these food sources just compounds by far the problems in the human body. I mean, seriously, and is at the major doorway of causative factors. So these two foods are by far any animal products for man, basically. And that's even raw is bad for you. Imagine super cooking it into some kind of plastic. I mean, milk, ultra pasteurized milk is getting close to plastic, margarine, up in that level of chemistry. Oh, but it's good for you. I mean, what man's willing to do to each other to make money is amazing to me. It's amazing. Shows extreme lack of spirituality, a lack of love, a lack of understanding the one. It's just amazing. And a lack of understanding karma. Ooh. All right. Now, and have dramatically increased my raw fruit intake to where I have been about 90% raw the past 3 months. That's pretty good. If you keep subacid and sweet, and then do your melons. Even watermelon can be real aggressive when you have a high inflammation. So you have to kind of watch that. I would try each fruit by itself and see the effect on my interstitial cystitis. See if I get that feeling down there, how you're feeling like a UTI type thing. You want to get that out of there, because I don't know. I mean, just nothing good comes interstitially when acids are building up. When you keep burning on that cell wall after a while, and you keep building up lymph interstitial stagnation, it doesn't take long to get inside the cell, intracellular acidosis, and you can pretty much start to see the mutation take place then. You go from atypical then into the cancer, so you want to back yourself up. In addition, I have been taking your kidney, that's a good idea, as well as your adrenal. That's an excellent idea. Although I have been eating much healthier and taking herbal formulas, I still seem to experience a lot of frequency. It might take you a while to get this open. And the fact that the fruits are high in water, you're going to probably see more urgency to do this. But you might even have some prostatitis. You just have to start going and fixing these things. I would get the stomach tea too and drink that, put my herbs in that, because that's real soothing to the kidneys and bladder. Just a good soothing tea. So use that maybe to help you a little bit with that as well. In addition, I have suffered from panic attacks. Well, that's your adrenals sitting right on top. So you know that you have adrenal, kidney, bladder connection, all of that in there. But that's a given, You can almost take that to the bank when someone says interstitial cystitis. Any itis, you can take to the bank kidneys and adrenals. You can take that to the bank and borrow a lot of money against that. And anxiety, since elementary school, weak adrenals, exactly. You hit it right on the head. So you've already had the precursor of interstitial cystitis set up for you, probably since you were born. And look in your family genetics and stuff. Get a picture of your eyes. Check your blood pressures, things like that. which may have contributed to this condition. I am wondering if it could recommend anything else I can do. Eat only sweet fruits. I have checked my urine and I do see some sediment. All right, so that's good. He does see some sediment and there's filtering going on. So David, you're doing good that way. You know, it just takes time to work all this out. I tell you, that's why I always look for like the stomach teas and things that'll help you during this process. Because there's no like that. It's just no like that. It just takes a while to work these acids out of you. But you can do this. And it doesn't have to take forever. I would stay with the subacid and the sweet. What melons you can handle. Things like the stomach tea, definitely I would probably do 2 kidney formulas. Kidney number 1 capsules and probably kidney number 2 liquid or 4 liquid. Then, let's see. I would take the adrenals for sure. Get those adrenals up because that's where your anxiety is, and get those adrenals up. Work on the lymph system. You work on your lymphatic formulas. They also work on the bladder to pull and draw. Remember, they're astringent. Even, I might say, it might be strong, but you could use the GI broom because remember, it's not just this. This is a systemic, so they're real strong astringents. It might have a good effect on the bladder as well, but astringent might make you feel that a little bit, like lemons and pulling. But, you know, sometimes where you have stagnation, it just takes a while for hydration and astringents to start pulling, hydrating, loosening, that sort of thing. But work it out, my friend. Do not keep this in you any longer or as long as you can, because that is burned back to the cells. It's not good. And this is true with all of us. Fibromyalgia, lupus, Lyme. All of these conditions have interstitial itises. Just the location to the word attached to it. But most everything is interstitial, including the plaquing of cholesterol. So everything is interstitial in that way. Because remember, you've got the fluid in the cell, and the body has to use the fluids to protect the cell, whether it's feeding it or cleaning it. And it's protection so the cell doesn't go back on its own acid waste. Remember, if you don't change the diaper of a baby in a timely manner, they burn back on the bottom. Same thing interstitially to the cell, except the cell has phospholipids or HDL in the wall. Cholesterol to help buffer, and the interstitial fluid being lipid base is more protective with that. So it takes years, but it can still break you down, no question. That's why you see the C word everywhere. Oh, this is David again. Oh, it's the same one. Oh, okay. Yeah. Same one. Thanks, David. All right, here's another email. All right. I have been watching many of your videos, which I like very much. Your take on health is somewhat different from other natural health practitioners, and with the incorporation of the spiritual, very interesting. Thank you. Who is this? Oh, ONKO. Mulder. Oh, thanks, man. The Netherlands. Thank you. I appreciate that. But if you step back as a practitioner or as an individual, start looking at the body as, even though we don't like to use the word machine because, you know, but it is. And it's a conscious machine through your consciousness. And it's simplistic in one way of looking at it. The complication of the mind is set there to keep you lost. And you'll be lost, like the medical community is lost at getting well. If you've got to go to the ER and stabilization, they're really good. And a good surgeon, really good. But we're not talking about that type of AMA. We're talking about the treatment of the idiocy concept of diseases and how that is not got people well. It has the top of the killing machine of all things, including wars. Nobody's looking at that. And all these kids that have killed these other kids in schools, most of them are on antidepressants and anxiety medications. Look at what the pharmaceuticals are doing to the humans. We don't want to look there because the Rockefellers and the power people keep these illusionary commercials up. Thank God they have to tell you, in the States anyway, some of the side effects. I mean, it's revolting, like the Abilify. I had a client that they wanted her to go on Abilify. Top killer right now bad drug. And it's only been out a few months. That's where the FDA is going to have a hard time explaining how they allowed the killing of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, well, millions now, of people. It's 1 million last year, I think, according to a lot of these guys. If you Google all these, there is so much information on the web now about how many deaths occur with pharmaceuticals. It's amazing. It's frightening. Even Consumer Reports, remember I told you, Consumer Reports said protect yourself when you go into hospitals. It's like, what? So it's frightening. It's just frightening what's going on out there. One thing, however, got me wondering and questioning all videos, to be honest. I was looking at your video, a message from Dr. Morris and Marcy, where one patient had written some information, blah, 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 blah. At the point, a big question mark. Oh, when I said I had a kidney stone and you think I have a problem with that? You know, I find that interesting, my friend. I tell you, you know, I've said this before. I'm not perfect. I mean, when I looked in my eyes, I go, oh my God, I got a lifetime of work on myself, you know, because I have so many genetics in that way. I've had kidney stones growing up, you know. I didn't know it when I was growing up, but when I was a fruitarian, I started breaking them loose. That's why I've been kind of holding back a little bit on total fruitarian a little bit, because one medical doctor said I had a lot of stones from growing up, and I was high tea, high milk, high meat. Farmer guys. And so I'm all these years getting them out, and I've been 25 years kind of holding that, but I have a few more that's, you know, I've got to get them out, and I'm trying to dissolve them and things, but nobody's perfect, man. You could be sitting there yourself with tons of stones. Even the raw foodists. I mean, you can be a raw foodist and still have problems. You know, it's maintaining a high fruit diet is literally impossible in the States. You know, and staying high in that all the time, being a fruitarian, impossible. And then energetically, I don't know. You know, I had to go through some ups and downs in every way to learn and to grow and to push me into understanding different things. And the same thing with you guys. You know, it's going to push you at different levels, but you guys are going to understand and accomplish more. Some of you guys now water fasted longer than I ever have. I find that great. I have no problem you guys doing better things than I am. I'm just a simple country boy kind of guy. I find truth where I find it, and we've helped a lot of people. Outside of that, I don't know what to tell you. We all fight our issues at one level or another. Is there anyone that's perfect? Well, there's a lot of strong constitution eyes I've been doing, especially this last school. I don't know, you guys are getting your eyes. I'm all done with them, and they're all out now. I just handed a whole bunch of them to Jen B, so you should be getting them in the mail anytime. But whoo-wee, I apologize for taking so long, but I had to take off a week in between there, and then, but most of you guys had major genes, and I'm looking at that going, man, I'm so jealous, because you guys had some. When you have major genes, you're already halfway up the mountain. Some of us had to start on the bottom. So you can't judge that, my friend. You can't judge that. We all are that way. Look at what we can do. And I work on myself at the level I can and do. And you will too, and everyone will too. This is why I try to push you guys. When you get at these levels, keep going, keep going, keep going. Chris, you got your acne going? Keep going. Dig in more and more and more. Don't stop. Because you want to use your eyes as a gauge. Dig in, and keep digging into the human body until you can't stand it anymore, because you will find a time where you'll move into balance. Some of you think that might not be true, but it will be. I was committed to be a fruitarian, and no one was going to shake me off of that, right? You never say that to the Supreme One, because, that's just, then you get your butt whooping. And so there's a lot of ups and downs to rip you away from this planet, because my goal is God. That's the only reason I'm here. The only reason I give out is because I try to be I'm here for that purpose. I don't care about creation. This realm is ridiculous. But we're here to help when you wake up to that and what you're here for. Some of you are ending your journeys. Some of you are sent here to help. And so these are the ones I want to connect to, is those of you that are starting to understand you were sent here to become one with us. Because this place needs a little bit of light to shine on it, right? It needs to get away from judgment and things like that, because everyone is on their own road, and who cares? We're all friends. We all come from the same source, and we just help each other get well no matter what. So you have to drop those kind of things, and realize that we're all working through our issues, and that it's those issues that make you grow or make you let go. Because those of you that love creation, to get out of here, there's going to be a time where it's going to be ripped from you. And it's just so you'll let go of it. And then you're free. Freedom is a big word that means a lot of things, and detachment is a big part of that freedom in a lot of levels. You can't have all these desires and be free because you're bonded to your desires by your attention. And that's what I'm saying. Your attention is through thought and emotions. And most people live their lives and operate from the mind and emotions. That isn't who you are, and you can operate from a much greater perspective, getting yourself free and still enjoy creation from a much greater vantage point, shall I say? A little bit urgent question. Oh, wow. A tick bite, infection, swollen lymph nodes. All right. So, before I take off on that, you know immediately what to do. No matter what. Remember, all the lymphatic formulas, whether it's a tick bite, snake bite, spider bite, doesn't matter. You know, we get recluse black widow spites in here all the time. From hospitals, because they go to the hospital first. Oh, when they get done with the antibiotic, it's a mess. We only take about a few days to a week at most to clean this toxic pus out of there and rebuild that tissue. And that's the thing. Whenever you feel that this is from a tick bite or whatever, you take off. You go on a fruit diet. You get on your lymphatic formulas, which all the lymphatic formulas are for poisons, snake bites. You get snake bit, you start sucking down your lymphatic formulas. You can worry about snake venom down the road. You suck on the lymphatic formulas and you're good to go. So you want to do that, but you want to get the kidneys filtering. You want to get your adrenals up. So they go hand in hand. You want to get your lymph system going when you get bit because your lymph system is responding. So this is just poisons that your body wants to pull out, and guess which channel it's going through. Not going to put poisons in the blood. You got hemotoxins, no question, but these lymphatic formulas also will help with that in the blood, no question. But the major issue is the lymph system. So cleaning blood and lymph, going these formulas, you can't help but touch all the chemistry into the blood. But it's the blood that has to interface, of course, with the lymph. So all this has to be done. But I would hit that real hard in that way, you know, and start cleaning out. Go one lymphatic formula capsule and do a lymph node formula, which are tinctures. Start cleaning my lymph. And if you want, hit to number 5s because those are the power hogs. You know, blood root, poke root, all these are anti-venom, anti-poisons. That's why they're tumor busters. That's why they're lymphatic herbs, because they're all about these toxins and poisons. Thank you so much for your comment here. I am a little bit worried about it and want to know if I can do something more about it. I have a question. I live in Sweden and got bitten by a tick in the end of May. Then I got a red area, no ring, around the bite. Looked like it got infected. I sent you 2 pics of how it looks now with my fingers in the pick and how it looked right when I got it. I only see 1 pick. Pretty rad. But those of you that see stuff like that, it's also suggestive that your lymph system isn't filtering well either. And remember, this is about your culturing medium, or the terrain, as it's been called. So those of you that have a real backed up lymph system, you get bit, you're going to see stuff like this. Your body can't deal with it well. And that's why you go on up with allergies and all kinds of things to bites. Some people get bit by ants. They go into an anaphylactic shock. That means your adrenals are way down, your steroids are way down, and your lymph system is backed up big time. So this just tells you the lymph system's backed up. I'd hit the lymphatic area. You're in Sweden. I don't know how you're going to get our herbs. If not, find some lymphatic herbs in Sweden, however you want to do that, or move, get out and find a place where you can get good herbs, or someone bring them into you. But you want to get on this. And also on this, I would use a drawing salve. I have a real minor drawing salve that you can put on that, not real strong. Then there's a Canex, which is a blacker salve, a little stronger. You could put on that spot. It's going to open it up, you know, and could create a little scar there, but that'll open up. But internally, you want to really get this, because you can see how it's spreading here. So it's just your lymph and blood. So you want to, I would go on a blood formula. We have a blood formula for cleaning the blood. I would do 2 lymphatic formulas again, 1 capsule. When I get the GI broom, I'd start really cleaning everything and get my kidneys filtered. This will pull this right into the lymph nodes, broken down with bacterium and macrophages, any cells that are damaged, and clean you right up. You can put a little drawing salve or healing salve on, or drawing salve, I would, on that, and clean that out of there. And I would do it probably sooner than later. I went to the doctor because of peer pressure, and the doctor said it might be Borrelia. Lyme is called Borrelia here in Sweden. But it does not look like a classical. It doesn't matter. You're going to do the same thing no matter what you got bit with. Same thing. Same thing. Always. No matter what. Snake, spider, tick, ant, doesn't matter. And he told me that it is no use to take any tests since they don't show any reliable results. How interesting that is. Well, I like a medical doctor that's honest like that. I really do. But to sure, he subscribed some antibiotics, which I decided not to take. Yeah, you really want bacteria with this one, because any bacteria is going to help break this sewage down. There's no question about it. That's what you would want, But I still hit it hard with the lymphatic formulas, even though I would probably take Parasite M with it. I eat fruit on the day and salad at night, but lately I have eaten a bit too much crap like corn chips and quinoa. Yeah, that was funny. This lady talking about the paleo diet on this. She's some kind of nutritionist or something, but she does kind of really believe in the raw, which is really to her best. And she was talking about eating quinoa raw. This paleo diet lady, and it's like, quinoa raw? I mean, they just don't get it. I have been vegan for 6 years, raw for like 2 years, but seriously, the last year. That sounds good, man. I love fruits. I do too, especially when they're fresh and ripe. Oh my God. I mean, a ripe peach, a ripe pineapple off a plant, a ripe mango off a tree. Oh my friggin' God. A watermelon, a seeded watermelon grown in high mineralized soil. Better go back and have me a little fresh squeezed navel. I found a few last navel oranges of California. Other than that, I got to get them in from somewhere. I don't know where, Brazil or somewhere. Oh my God. I eat mostly organic produce. I have a lot of mucus in my brain. Got to clean that out. But, you know what? Mucus in the brain also means mucus all through here. This is the lymph system backed up all through you. And I think that's why you're seeing such a response to the bite. And it can be any bite. And that's what I'm saying. Everybody's got to clean out, no matter what allergies you have or anything else, you clean out your lymph system and you're good. But you got to clean your lymph system. But it is slowly getting out of my nose. Good. Keep going. It'll come, it'll flow. Perfect. But it's got to flow all through you, because this is lymphatic expression too. So really, kick it up another notch with the herbs and stuff if you can. Every time I ride my bicycle or go for a walk, or it is cold or windy, my nose is surely running. Well, you see why? Anything that's cold is alkaline, so anything that's alkaline is going to create this cationic environment, this environment of loosening and going, even though they look at that differently, I guess, in biochemistry. But I always consider cationic, catabolic kind of similar in the process of breaking down. But they consider anionic maybe. It just depends, who you talk to. And of course, working out, moving your lymph, of course. It was always running even when I was a child. Boy, that means you're loaded. But that also gives you an idea why you're seeing this expression. Because when you're loaded up here, you're full down below. Now to my question. The rash, bite infection, is still there between my left knee and the back of my knee. Now today, this is the knee. Look like your shoulder. Oh, the knee. That's even better still. Let me see. Now today I feel pain in the back of my knee, the backside where it is soft. Well, see, that's the thing, this is going to interface with acids and everything else, and it cause more inflammation. It's just going to sit there if you're not filtering properly. That could sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks. That's not good. You want to really get that lymphatic going, get your adrenals up, the kidneys filtering, everything that we talk about, and you'll pull that right out of you. And it is swollen. I wonder if the lymph node is located there. Well, could be. It could be all the way up the groin. Could be your kidneys are just not filtering yet, sweetheart. Can it be that it is backed up and swollen because of that? Yeah, it could be backed up because up here is not back. Up here is backed up. Kidneys are not filtering. Lymph nodes are backed up from here to the knee. Do I filter at least? I do filter, at least somewhat. I see flakes. Well, let's get those flakes into a lot more sediment there. That's a good sign, but we don't know which kidney. That leg that you're having trouble with, that would be the kidney that's least filtering, probably. I was on some herbs for a month, February, but right now I cannot afford them. But I have lost lots of dandelions. Okay, dandelions, comfrey, milk thistle, nettles, yarrow. Use them all. Love them all. Use all those. And make them that I can pick if you tell me what to do. Yeah, you want to pick them, bruise them a little bit, and just let them sit out in the shade. Shade dry, and then you can grind them up and encapsulate them or make a tea out of them, or you can eat them downright raw. And I loved comfrey. I used to grow comfrey leaves. Man, pound it. Because comfrey is also an antibacterial, but that's not really what we're using it for. But definitely comfrey, dandelion, good for the kidneys. Of course, you could probably get parsley. So you could pump down some green drinks with the high parsley, high dandelion, high cilantro, and really pick up those adrenals and kidneys. Put beet bulbs in your room, high beet bulbs. So that way you've got beet, dandelion, parsley. Now all that's going to help that. Milk thistle, okay. Nettles, perfect for the kidneys. Yarrow, absolutely. And more than I can pick if you exactly. I take a little bit of astragalus in my smoothies now to build my immune system to be able to handle the bacteria. It's not really the bacteria, it's the poisons. Poisons. Cytotoxins. I don't think they're hemotoxins, or you would see red streaks going on. You'd be in trouble. I plan now to do a watermelon diet. That's perfect. I just have to eat all the fruit at home first. Maybe even that's my problem. I have so many fruits in my kitchen. Some go bad because I'm too busy doing something else. I get the morning, I feel like this. I get the morning, I feel like this. I really liked it. Then I tried one day. I have never been on a long fast. Well, work with that. Stockholm, Sweden. Micah, M-I-C-A. Micah. All right. I hope that helps you there. I mean, you could call in and see if they have any lymphatic stuff and kidney stuff in the back. I mean, our shelves are getting bare. We've been handing out to helping everybody as much as we can. So you might call Brenda. She's the nurse here, and see if there's any formulas back there for you. But how do we get them to you? Because we don't Sweden sign on to the Codex agreement, so we can't mail into Sweden. I went to a doctor. Okay, this is another one. Okay, club member hoping to get read for help. Absolutely, man. The problem is there's so many of these, and I apologize so much. But I will say this: hopefully I've got enough time coming up that I can get down and polish these things, get them way down there. But I do but just keep in mind, no matter what you have, a bite, cancer, I don't care what, you're going to detox yourself. There is no other rule in nature that fits wellness. So you always want to detox. The question, what is detoxification and how do I do it? And first I'll have to tell you, water is at the top of detoxification. However, at man's state, fruits, berries, and melons. Vegetables, good old boys, eat them when you quit detoxifying. No problems. But detoxification isn't a vegetable experience. Most of us have done both for years and know quite aptly the difference, and now you guys are seeing it on Facebook. Peace and blessings be to you and yours. Same to you. Same to you. Who am I talking to? Jay. Same to you, my friend. All right. I have a bit of crisis. Oh, what's going on here? I'm going through, and I've been searching for answers, and I find it amazing that when you really and truly want something and you're in a space to listen, the answers will come. You know what? Yeah, that is a great spiritual lesson, Jay, and that's my lesson too. If I try to push myself, it doesn't work, and if the door doesn't open, back away, because I can tell you, I pushed a lot of doors that I thought should be open. Nope. I wasn't happy I opened them. And so now I learned the same thing. Just let it be. You know, as you awaken, you have it all anyway. Just let the whole life flow through you, and it'll work for you. Everything will work and fix itself for you, and you don't have to do a thing. Just be the power or the consciousness channel and let it all work for you. It's all going to work itself out. You don't almost have to be involved anymore. You just have to enjoy the freedom of consciousness. And boy, it's just I can't even tell you. I came across your YouTube page because 70 days ago today I began raw vegan. Oh, that's good, man. 40 of those days just fruit. Fantastic. But it's mostly fruits over vegetables overall. And was wondering what happens when you switch over to raw foods, but I'm emailing because I have a few things going on with me. Well, the switchover is amazing to me. Now, there are some that are so sick that it's so pronounced of a change that they feel that a lot. Babe comes to my mind, and that she couldn't handle the fruits, so she went on vegetable juices for 4 years or 5 years? I don't know, Babe. I haven't talked to you in a long time. That's impressive. That's a long time without fiber. So I don't know, this is how she felt good and how she worked herself out. I don't know where she's at now. But it's enough to say that if you can get to the fruit level, it is just a whole level way above vegetables. It really is. And when you start to really look at that and think about it and see how vegetables are made versus fruit, and you start to realize we're a refined species. It's about time humans walk into that. We still wallow on the ground, kill each other, blow up our children and women. But we are a refined species when you wake up and realize we are a refined species to this planet. And not elsewhere, to this planet. And so you just have to start awakening and realize your divinity and the process of much greater experiences away from this level. But while you have a body at this level, you can have some great experiences with the rock. If you feel good, you feel light, you're on fruit, your nervous system's empowered, everything is up and going. Absolutely. And that you work for that, and you get that, and you don't take no for an answer. You clean that body out no matter what you have to work through. You rebuild the cells. Use the herbs to do that. There's no other tools. It might take you some time, it might not, but where are you going? Well, you have a body, not too many places. The rock is the rock. Now, you can travel outside of the physical body. That is where one should spend some time and have some real fun. On my right testicle, there's a growth that's been there for a few years. Get that off. And again, going back to kidneys and adrenals, you want to pull that out of the testicles here because, nothing ever good comes to a male with that sort of thing, or it's chop. That's not good. Not good at all. Talk about not having testosterone. Not good. I don't have any faith in allopathic medicine, so just cutting it out was not an option. Or off. I've also had toenail fungus. Okay, so that shows you right there that lymphatically you're involved. That you're involved down there. You can use Parasite M to kill fungus in the body, but the truth, you're only going to back it up a little bit. You got to clean the sewer system out. You're full of fungus, but you might want to stay on Parasite M for a while because fungus leaves uric acid and not a real fun species, fermentation species. So it says, one, your adrenals are down, you're fermenting your sugars, da-di-da-di-da. So you want to get your adrenals up, your kidneys filtering, and clean this lymph system. It'll pull the toe fungus out and everything else here. That's key. And that growth off the testicle too. That's all lymphatic. That has to go right through the lymph system. And on my back, left side of my neck, I can feel what I think is lymph node. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Once your lymph system's backed up all through you. And see how this is redundant through all of us? These aren't blood problems. These are lymphatic problems. And so you guys are learning so much, and I am too. I'm learning with you guys more and more and more on top of what I've learned through the years. Because you might take 10, 20 of your years just discovering one little thing. And so now we know enough to where hopefully our education will accelerate. But don't be pulled into the mind and into standard thinking, because you'll go nowhere, What I used to think was mid to lower left back pain, I now figure to be something going on with my kidney. Yeah, you're right on. You're right on. When you have the mid to lower back pain, think kidneys. L4, L5, remember, specific for kidneys, but 3 to 6, and you're talking on down and sciatica and all these things. This is all kidneys. And you really can't get a remedy till you fix the kidneys. To get a remedy, you've got to fix, you've got to remove and get hydrated and filtration. And once this occurs, then it's a much faster pace to well. If not, it's slow, like a coitus. It's slow because you're not filtering. You're hydrating, and there's some filtration and things going on. But you got to work yourself. I'm coming from a high junk food, meat processed, food, alcohol-laden diet. Wow. Well, you know, I did that when I was 19. My diet now is all raw organic foods mostly. If you look at the difference, man, you've really come a long way. And I have to say that this is a spiritual guy, gals. This guy is understands that you know how life works, and to sit back and watch and understand this is good. I mentioned alkaline water and stinging nettle tea. My lifestyle, remember that's a kidney tea. My lifestyle changed 2 years ago when I woke up to what matters in life. See, a lot of you guys are awakening. And that now we're becoming a team of power, of light, of consciousness. That's what this is all about. Health is something we do, but consciousness is something we are. And to move into that realm, freeing yourself of thought and desire and emotions, not that you can't use them, but freeing yourself from being controlled by them, is like you just left this planet into the brightest light you could possibly see. Amazing. And you guys are opening and awakening. And remember, the shortcut to God consciousness, to awakening, you know, is intensifying the now in you, is pulling yourself into the now consciousness. And you even if you have to walk around saying, be here now, be here now. When the thoughts come, be here now, be here now. Work with that. The ORAM-DAS, be here now. Into what matters in life, though, and now when I'm not working, all I do is read to gain better perspective and awareness about life. With that reading, because like I said, I've read 2 libraries at least in my life, and I can tell you, use that, but realize who is reading the books. That's what you want to get into. You want to, who's reading and learning what's being read. And so get books on J. Krishnamurti, and he'll help you pull back from that and understand how easy it is to not awake through thought, but awake through consciousness, because thought will only take you so far. And then, you know, mind, there's some high levels of mind, let me tell you. Cosmic consciousness is well documented, well understood, experienced it many times myself. I can only tell you, incredible. But for those that know the higher pure consciousness, if you have someone to help you, you'll get beyond that level. If not, you can spend a long time there because it's so nirvanic, so full of ecstasy and joy. The first time I experienced, I can't even begin to tell you. I saw all things as one. It was just I was over. I couldn't handle the brilliance and the joy and ecstasy, and everything was one, but I was still an individual. There's something higher than that. You're still in creation with that. Interesting. And there are shortcuts to it. You don't have to go through metaphysics and read volumes of spiritual books and things, because thought and concepts are one thing. Being and living in the now, it's like detox. We can talk about it and read about it until you strap on the robe and get on the bull. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing is with consciousness. You've got to practice. You've got to now retrain yourself to be yourself instead of the mind controlling you. Remember the old saying in spirituality, the mind makes a lousy master, but a great servant. Okay, but this is a spiritual guy, gals. Just from just recently watching your YouTube videos and studying, I think the best route right now would be to start taking your lymph and kidney formula. You're right on, man. If you would help me to get on the proper regimen, like I said, let me see. I wanted to fill out your health questionnaire and send it in, but I figured the 150 could be better put to use buying the detox medicine. I agree. If you're having a hard time with monies, don't spend it on the herbs. because that's where your power is. That's what you need. I've given you so much advice and the programs themselves. I've given you so much insight to that, guys, that you can do this. You don't have to spend the money. That's always good. I love working with your eyes and your blood work and everything you send me to put you on your own protocols. But if you're strapping, then you know you want to do the first kit, no-brainer, first kit, all right? That's going to deworm you. And if you've never dewormed yourself, you want to deworm yourself. You might not, but you still want to deworm yourself, defungal yourselves. You're always going to have some fungus, and you're always going to have bacterium. And it's going to move and breathe as your diet and as your terrain moves and breathes. And there's nothing you can do about it. The use of antibiotics has destroyed man. And you've seen that. Yes, we have the flesh eaters, but look, by the time their antibiotics are halfway successful, the person's half chewed up. Our way's better. Better, even with flesh eaters. Better. I'm wondering why certain specific collections... Who is this? This is Tracy. Hi, Tracy. I am wondering why certain specific collections of symptoms occur in different people. Genetics. When you look at people, they're genetically different, every one of them. And I mean, to the T. Oh, look, you've got mama's ears, mama's eyes. I mean, this is a big deal. But it also has a negative downside, because in the human race, we're not strengthening our species, we've weakened our species because we're eating the wrong foods. And so, if you haven't seen that, just take a look at the mutations of the children. Watch the obits, because children are dying at an alarming rate. For you nurses that are long-term, you go back into the 90s, back into oncology, and go back to the cardiac floors. Look at the difference of the age groups now in these units as opposed to in the 90s. I can just tell you, it's hugely different. And it's just, we are genetically worse and worse and worse. And if it wasn't for you guys, you raw foodists, and you guys thinking about regenerating genetic weaknesses, man would terminate himself. This has already been talked about with who's the guy that opened up Fox News? Ted Turner and scientists. They've been looking at this and the decay of the human cell. And we're here to show the humans that these cells can be rebuilt. And they start with consciousness, and they go right on down to mind and emotions, every single thing here. Can't have anything here that doesn't pass through the God worlds. You can't jump from God consciousness to here. The planet couldn't take it, blow it up. You're talking about a lot of different energy at all these different levels. And when you're pure soul, pure consciousness, you got to be careful of what destruction you can cause. And that's why those that get there through getting themselves beat up, so they don't want to interfere with other states of consciousness, because you'll be pulled right back in and spending more time in karma world. Got to be careful. You got to give love. You don't care, give love, because God can't care. You have to understand what's up with consciousness versus creation. And that could be another talk sometime, For example, if a person is highly acidic and inflamed, why would their symptoms manifest as scleroderma? Oh, I hate scleroderma. Oh, but never failed with it. Never failed with it. But I've only had about 3 or 4 cases in my entire life. So, but gnarly. That's when everything starts scarring and constricting and closing. What side of chemistry you think you're on? Different factors are affected definitely by the body, because it's where you get the diagnosis of rheumatoid or tics or whatever. But to tell you the truth, it's all the same stuff. Just different factors are affected in the body, different genetic weakness, different cell, different hormones, different steroids, different parts of the body. Genetic weakness, if you look at your eyes, you'll see already your genetics and the lymph is already breaking down these weaknesses even more. You can really trace all this out with the eyes. And everybody's weaker in different areas, and they have more problems in different areas. It's just the way it is, I don't know what to say outside of that, But they're all the same type of symptoms. Fibromyalgia is worldwide. I mean, they're all the same. It's just there's only a limited amount of these. If you really look at that, there's only a limited amount of symptoms. Plus, you can trace 10 symptoms to one problem, because everything is systemic and systemically affected. Everything, even hormones and steroids, doesn't just affect one cell. It affects all of them in one way or another. Specific ones, to be truthful, just like estrogen, you have receptors, you have things like this, that certain areas are affected more, but systemic hits are well known there. Versus lupus symptoms and stuff like this. Interstitial inflammation causes Crohn's. Let me tell you, it's all interstitial, honey. Interstitial cystitis, Crohn's, it's all interstitial. You know, it's all interstitial because all you have is the cells, the interstitial spaces around them, and then you have the tissues, and then you have the pipes that go to and from these cells, to feed them and clean them. You have the vascular blood pipes and you have the lymphatic pipes, and they all come with capillaries and everything else. It's very simplistic in one way. The cell, the consciousness, what they do, the production, how they mutate or how they transmutate chemistry and stuff, amazing stuff. And way beyond man. Remember, we're not quite even the level of accepting fully biological transmutations. And this was introduced in the earlier 1900s. But we totally have that going on at every level in life. Life consumes itself and transmutates itself into other forms of chemistry. It's a constant thing going on. I can't imagine anybody surprised with that. It is all a function of the individual state or the endocrine gland. Exactly. Different endocrine glands are down, different hormones are down, the thyroids are down, whatever. Mucus develops in different places in people, but mainly respiratory, and up. But you can get mucus all through you, in the GI tract, in the wall, everywhere the mucosa is, you can get mucus. And anything that's abrasive to the mucosa causes mucus. Even things that appear to be good for you can cause mucus, like habaneros and cayenne, things like that. Capsicum. We're either born with or and there's another thing. You're in your mother for 9 months or whatever. Let me tell you, and you're hooked to her blood and lymph system. So that starts you off right there in a bad kind of way. So the cell's consciousness come with the sperm and the egg, but the fluids are mother. So it starts early on, guys, and it comes on down the line. But we're supposed to be a species like every other species that eats raw foods, right? Nobody cooks, but we migrated into northern hostile environments for the Homo sapien. Do you see fur? Anything that keeps you warm? No, we're a tropical species. That's simple. But we've migrated in all these northern environments. That's the way this level was created. Can't all be tropical, so man pays the price. But all in all, you'll see, if you step back, it all is coming down to forming the human state and maturing itself. And even though you see all the horrible stuff going on, there is no death to consciousness or to soul. But doesn't make it any less traumatic and all that, all this that's going on. Sad stuff. Pure, fresh squeezed navel orange juice. Oh, man. Perhaps someone with a diagnosis of scleroderma has extremely weak parathyroid function in addition to weak adrenals. And you know what? I think you're right on. I really believe that when you see scleroderma, because I thought about this scleroderma, because it's so devastating, that I do believe connective tissue and everything else is partly involved with that, with the parathyroid. I thought that myself. So I think that was an excellent take for yourself, Tracy. I thought that was excellent. I do think that as well. And I've had about 3 or 4 scleroderma cases. And I'll tell you, remember this, when you're working on a scleroderma case or any case, even MS, as they get toward the end of their program, their stats, everything looks good, their symptoms go away, everything is good. And the final days, they can have a healing crisis that mimics the symptoms. I had one young lady in Indiana somewhere, big-time scleroderma, was diagnosed at 17 or something. I can't remember how old she was, in her early 20s. Really bad. And she got all cleared up, and she was toward her end of her detox. Everything was looking good. And then suddenly, all the symptoms come raging back. And she said, my God, it's back, it's back. I said, no. This is just detox. And generally at the end, even MS symptoms come raging back. And don't ask me why that is. She only went through that for a day or two, and then boom, all gone, nothing left. So fantastic stuff. But I think you hit it right on the head. So yeah, don't be afraid to work with any of these cases. There was I told you a case with scleroderma back on another video of a lady, we call her the juice lady because she was selling juicers and she was selling Shaklee stuff and stuff like that. And pushing raw foods because she had extreme scleroderma. I mean, she was scarred up all over. Pulled herself out of the hospital near death, all on raw, right? She didn't have herbs at that time. She did it all on raw. So she had a place up here, and she would give classes and stuff, and I went in there and spoke a couple of times. And I told her, I said, you know, I don't see it totally gone. I said, you really, she never got rid of it completely, and I said, you really need to come and let me finish this up and fix you up. She never did, and she finally succumbed to it. She got off her raw, and that's what happens. And that's what I'm saying. You can't judge anybody. This is life. Our minds are conditioned, our emotions are conditioned, family, foods. So for you to make a complete change away from that shows how strong and spiritual you guys are, because it's interesting for people to do. And the average person like me at my age, we're going to have some steamed vegetables and stuff once in a while. That's just the way it is. You know, if I was living in Costa Rica, might not have the same thing. I think you're right on. I just think you're right on, Tracy. But I'll tell you what, you always want to dig in, because no matter what condition, no matter what itis, no matter what condition is named, what side of chemistry is generally the predominant side that's kicking your butt? Acids. And since there's only two sides, you know that we go to the base side or the alkaline side to deal with the acid side. And that's just that simple. You can get into biochemistry and look at oxidation and the transference of electrons and blah, 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 blah. But to tell you the truth, that's not going to satisfy you. And the more intellectualism, the more energy loss, and you know, of course, inquiring minds always want to know. But get the simplicity of it, get the strength of it down first, and then use your mind to play the games. Good take, Tracy. This is leukemia. This is a GAS, GAS. My friend's 7-year-old boy has just been diagnosed with leukemia. He was already born with a non-verbal autism and has the mental age roughly of an 18-month-old baby. Jesus criminy, where is this? This is Gary. Oh, where is this, Gary? Is this in the States? If this is in the States, good luck. I mean, I'll tell you. I've been telling you about this young boy that was diagnosed with leukemia, which isn't cancer, which you don't use chemo with, because you'll just kill the kid. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Now, as Jake became ill, his mother took him to local hospital where he was diagnosed with a whole list of illnesses, ranging from hay fever to arthritis, hay fever for his swollen face, eyes, etc., and arthritis because he was always falling over for no apparent reason. Oh. Because his mother was far from happy with the diagnosis, thank God, she then took it up upon herself to take Jake to Manchester, a Royal Children's Hospital, which is basically the best around these parts. And within 24 hours of him being there, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Yeah, which is, all honesty, is appalling, considering he was under observation during a 4-week period elsewhere, and they never spotted it. But he will, well, you know what? A simple blood test will tell you. You know, because you're looking at platelets and white blood cells. If this young man has elevated white blood cells and low platelets, okay. If he has low whites and low platelets, bone marrow. And if he just has elevated whites, he's got a lot of lymph, a lot of acidosis. But he was born with a nonverbal autism. So his nervous systems aren't mature yet. But then again, you might take a look at the adrenal genetics and central genetics, you know. I'd get a picture of this young man's eyes and see. In terms of high white blood cells, not difficult. You just detox the lymph system, get the kidneys filtering, blah, 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 blah. The whites will keep coming down and down and down, and the platelets will go up, especially if you work on the spleen a little bit. Easy do. Now, not so much with low whites. Low whites go into bone marrow. Low whites and platelets, you're going right into the bone marrow. Well, this is dense tissue, and that's more difficult. But there's herbs for bone marrow. You're going to go into that. You're going to get this young man on all raw. You could pump him with some green drinks if you wanted for a little while. The good ones, parsley, dandelion, maybe a little beet and stuff, and build him up a little with that. But also you want the high fruits, particularly the high grapes, because you got to get after this lymph system. But what other system do you want to get after that only the fruits can do, and the berries? You're right, Tracy, you got it again. The nervous system. This young man's nervous system. Well, you got to go to the endos too to deal with the nervous system, because there you've got the serotonin, neurotransmitters, blah, 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 blah. So you're going right into these tissues. Now, luckily, there's glandulars for hypothalamus areas. There's glandulars for all kinds of things. So this young man could use glandulars to tell you right off, because we're looking at genetics. Well, wait a minute here. We also could be looking at early vaccinations. We could be looking at all kinds of mercury toxicities or anything else, even in the mother. So mother needs to clean herself up, that's for sure. But this young man, you got to get into him and get him on a raw diet and start getting him well. I haven't seen whether he is low one way or another on the whites or whatever. It would take a simple blood test for a diagnosis of this. So in that first place that missed it, that's strange to me why they would miss that. But then again, just remember that when you deal with medical, it's bizarre, it's radical, it doesn't know the answers, and best stabilization. And when you're 7 years old, I don't know where you are here, but if they, this is Europe, right? I don't know how they are, but they can take your kid, put him on chemo. I don't know. So I was just wondering if there's anything you can recommend. Absolutely. I'd get him on upper circuit brain and nerve big time. I'd get him on kidneys, lymphatics big time. What else here? I would get him on a spleen formula, bone marrow formula anyway, just enhance those tissues up there, but get him detoxing, because if the spleen's going down, then you just detox and rebuild the spleen. Same thing, you just keep working with the body, just like you would any other condition. You're going after that same way. You want the kidneys filtering, you need his adrenals up for multiple purposes, for neural purposes, but also for steroid purposes, and also for purpose of getting the kidneys to filter. At the same time, you want to strengthen the nervous system. That's brain and nerve number 2. Upper circuit is going to move blood more aggressively in the brain tissue, bring more oxygen to these tissues. At the same time, you're getting brain and nerve, which is going to enhance the neurons. So you got all that going on. But then you got to get in to see that why is this at 7 years old? Obviously, there is spleen or bone marrow problems, and I'm going to say mama or daddy. But mama, I'm going to be looking at that. So because she doesn't want to have problems later on here. So this young man has got to work himself back out of this, and you can do that. Absolutely. You would not. You're going to see tens of thousands of these young guys everywhere, all over the place. They're already all over there. Look at St. Jude's. Likes to put them in front of the camera and say, we need your money to give them more chemo so we can kill your kid and take on more. No offense, but when you tell me that you have a high cure rate, you don't show it in any other stats. Your stats show about 6% like everybody else. You can't cure a high acid condition with a hotter acid. I mean, this should be a crime for anybody to use chemo on anybody. This is why in nursing we use that Drano word, because that's what chemo is called in nursing, Drano. And yet we don't hold these people responsible for killing our kids. You can rebuild these kids. And if you can't, I just never seen anyone you can't. But we need medical to stabilize. If his blood's going down, he could lose blood transfusions, platelet transfusions. If this kid's going down in his blood, they can help us rebuild it while we're fixing and rebuilding. Medical doctors need to work with us, not the other way around. And until they get that, they get off the egos, you're going to have this killing machine that we have. I get passionate about it, but I'm sick that the kids are getting brutalized by chemistry, by narcissistic bastards that don't know what they're doing. It's sad. Sad, sad, sad. And when these guys wake up, ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Okay. Let's see. I don't see any name on this. Oh, this is Tracy. I have a couple of questions about kidney filtering. I'm a 40-year-old female. I've been vegetarian for 20 years. Good for you, honey. And high-carb, low-fat vegan for the last 4 months. Wow. My diet consists mainly of raw fruits and greens with cooked starch, suppers a few times a week. A little fungal supper, do we? At first, the filtering was continual. I am still on a kidney formula. The last couple of weeks, however, the filtering has been intermittent. Could be the cooked food. Skipping 3 to 4 days at a time. I have noticed that eating a large meal of cooked starches will trigger heavy. It'll trigger heavy filtering when you eat a high cooked meal of starches. Look at that. Oh, wow. It shows interesting. It might be just a lot of the undigested matter. It might be some of the stuff you're getting out of there. Not undigested in that way, but yeah, who knows? Yeah, interesting. Look at that crap. My question are, why would filtering become intermittent after having been continual? Also, why would eating cooked starches consistently trigger resumption of stilled filtering? I don't know what to tell you with that. I check mine, I filter most of the time. And once in a while, if I'm chugging down too much juices and stuff, I see it come clear. But that's not probably too many liquids through there. But I don't know. I see others that have cooked foods and they stop filtering when they do the cooked foods. So I don't know. And I have others say that when they do the starches and do cooked foods, they get filtering more. So I don't know. We'll have to think that out, won't we? Because I really don't know why one would be over the other and why you would be losing it. Because you have a high fruit diet. Now, there is a chance that if you're doing too many vegetables, that you're reaching a plateau. And so there's no more real detox going on. You're just kind of balancing everything out. When you do the starches, you have so much of this that you're just seeing this getting out in the urine. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it spasms and creates more filtration. Who knows? When you shift from cooked to raw or vice versa, there's a major energy shift. You can feel it in yourself. And especially when you get real up on fruit. There's a major energy shift from the fruit level to the vegetable level to the cooked level. I mean major. And you can feel the shift changes of energy. So it might have something to do with that. Who knows? I know this, that there's a plateau you reach with that type of diet you're on when you're digging into the body to clean it. And so that's why you have to kick it back up with the fruits now and then, or do fruit fasts and stuff like that to get everything moving again. So I don't know. Good questions. You guys are really asking good questions. Tracy, all of you guys, and you're getting smart as a whip. And there's a point where some things I just don't know. We can't know all of this. There's just so much to it. And we're just now opening doors into worlds that we're seeing ourselves and finding old charts that shows and demonstrates things that we're talking about that you don't see in modern A&P. So there's just so much out there. There's so much hidden, so much changes. I find that quite interesting on a planet like this, that truth is the least considered. But anyway, thank you all for putting up with me again, and I love you all, and you take care of yourselves. And remember, I'm always here for you, and I'm always just as close as you closing your eyes and picturing me. I'll be right there. We are all able to come to each other, and just remember that. And if you need help, just ask on the inner fort of the masters or anyone that your spiritual guides, or send in a question or call. We're always here for you, and I love you all. You have fun today, and get your powers back, all of you guys, and you be the boss of your world and of what happens. Okay, take your joy back too. Love you all. Bye-bye.